All right, well, last week I did a special evil puzzle that was sent to me by the creator of Clues by Sam, and today we are doing the promised super evil puzzle. So this should be very difficult. I guess we'll see. Hopefully I won't make as many mistakes as I did with the evil puzzle, but I probably will. So there's a link in the description where you can go solve this puzzle if you would like, or you can just follow along with me and solve. That's fine too. Or you can just follow along with me and laugh at me when I make mistakes and not solve it with me. Whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But I am going to solve this super evil puzzle. So if you're not familiar with Clues by Sam, basically we're just trying to identify the innocents and criminals in the grid using the clues that it gives us. So our first clue says Katie and Mark have 3 innocent neighbors in common. All right, Katie and Mark have 3 innocent neighbors in common. Well, the only neighbors that they have in common are Freya, Laura, and Ronald. That's 3. They all have to be innocent. All right, so we get a nice, easy start to the puzzle. Okay. An odd number of innocents in column C, neighbor Laura. An odd number of innocents in column C, neighbor Laura. So that's Henry, Mark, and Sophia. So we either have 1 or 3 innocents among those 3. Okay. An odd number of innocents in column D, neighbor Mark. Same kind of thing. Janet, Nancy, and Tom. We either have 1 or 3 among them. I'm gonna just, I don't know if I'm gonna keep these colors, but I'm gonna do that just for now, just to help me remember which ones we were looking at. But we have to remember this could be 1 or 3 innocents on those groups. Okay. Only one of the 2 innocents neighboring Nancy is my neighbor. So Nancy and Ronald. One of the 2 innocents neighboring Nancy. So there's only 2 innocents neighboring Nancy. That's the key thing here, because if Henry, Mark, and Sophia are all 3 innocent, then Nancy will have more than 2 innocent neighbors. So Henry, Mark, and Sophia have to have 1 innocent among them because there's an odd number of innocents. So Henry, Mark, and Sophia are 1. So there's 1 yellow innocent. But that means that Nancy has 1 innocent from these and must have only 1 innocent from Janet and Tom. So Janet and Tom are 1 of each, meaning we can't have all 3 innocents over here either. And again, it's an odd number. So it has to be 1, and Janet and Tom are 1 of each. Nancy has to be a criminal. Nice, okay. And Janet and Tom are 1 of each. So there's 1, we now know there's exactly 1 innocent in each of the 2 colors. We'll go with that, okay? Okay, and in fact, so we know a little more than that. So that was the first part that we got. But then 1 of the 2 innocents neighboring Nancy is Ronald's neighbor. Well, they only share Mark and Sophia in common. So Mark and Sophia, 1 of them has to be an innocent, and the other is a criminal, and there's an odd number among these 3, so Henry also has to be a criminal. So now, again, we're back to our 1 of each, like I usually use the colors to mean. Nice, okay. So we can get rid of that. We can get rid of this and this, actually. Okay. Column A is the only column with exactly 2 innocents. Okay, 2 innocents in column A. It's the only one with exactly 2 innocents. So column C here, we've got 1 innocent. Mark and Sophia are 1 of each. That's 2 innocents. They can't have exactly 2 innocents. Chuck must be innocent. Let me double check, because this is the kind of mistake I make sometimes, where I count up the innocents and then I apply it to the criminals or something like that. Column A is the only column with, so column C cannot have 2 innocents. Currently, we have essentially marked 2 innocents. We don't know which one of these 2 is an innocent, but we can't have 2. So if Chuck were a criminal, it would be a problem. Chuck must be innocent. There we go. All right. Only 1 person has exactly 4 criminal neighbors. Nancy has 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1 person has exactly 4 criminal neighbors. Who could that even be? I mean, Vince only has 3 neighbors. All of these over here, Emily, Katie, Pam, because of all these innocents, they can't have 4 criminal neighbors. Anna can't have it. Barb could have 3. Chuck could have 4 potentially. Dennis can't. So Chuck is a possibility. Let's see. I'm going to mark him. I think that's blue, maybe. I am colorblind, but I'm going to call that blue. I'm going to say the blue is the people who at least could have 4 criminal neighbors, right? Chuck could. Dennis could not. Janet Janet could. Janet could. I can't do that blue, but Chuck and Janet. All right, Nancy. Nancy has 3. Tom, 2. Tom could have 3. Zed. Zavi could have 4. Will could have 3. Zavi could have 4. Okay, Chuck, Janet, Zavi, I think are the only options. Chuck, Janet, and Zavi. One of them has 4 criminal neighbors. Okay. Will is one of 8 innocents on the edge. Well, Will is an innocent, so Zavi can no longer have 4 criminal neighbors. So the only ones that can have 4 criminal neighbors are Chuck and Janet, which I think means Dennis has to be a criminal. Let me just double check really quick. So I'm going to start down here with Vince. Who can have 4 criminal neighbors? Vince can't. Pam can't. Katie can't. Emily cannot. Anna cannot. Barb could have 3. Chuck can. Dennis cannot. Janet can. Nancy has 3. Tom 2, 3 can have 3. Zed cannot. And then and the middle ones. We got. I went around the edges. I didn't do the middle. Whew. Can Henry have 4? Henry can, but that would still make Dennis a criminal. Henry can. Mark can. Mark can, which would not make Dennis a criminal. Mark can have, because Mark has 2 plus Janet or Tom. That's 3. If Mark has 4, then Sophia is a criminal. Zavi cannot. Will cannot. Ronald still could, actually. Only one person has exactly 4 criminal neighbors. My Roomba just started going, and I know you probably can't hear it on the microphone, but it seems kind of loud in the room to me, so I am going to pause that quick. All right, Will. We got Will here. So I knew we could trust you. I wouldn't be so quick, Will. Don't count your chickens before they're all in the same basket. Anyways, Will is one of 8 innocents on the edges. So we have 8 innocents on the edges. Is that helpful? We've got 3 already. There's 1 over here with Janet and Tom. That's 4. We need 4 more innocents. I don't know how helpful that is. We know column A. Oh, column A is the only column with exactly 2 innocents. Okay, so we've got 3, 4. There's 2 over here. That's 5, 6. So between Barb, Dennis, and Zed, there's 2 innocents, right? Because we have 8. We've got 3 marked already. Janet and Tom, there's 1 there. That's 4. There's 2 over here. That's 5, 6. So there's 2 innocents among Barb, Dennis, and Zed. So back to, can Chuck be... So there's 2 innocents among those 3, which means there's only 1 guilty among those 3. So Chuck cannot have 4 anymore because Barb and Dennis can't both be criminals. Chuck cannot have 4. Janet can still have 4. Dennis would be the criminal. Janet can have 4. Dennis would be the criminal. Chuck cannot. Janet can. So is Janet the only one around the edge that can have 4? I know there's some in the middle, but I think Janet's the only one on the edge that could have 4. Let's go back to the middles again. Can Henry have 4? I think we said Henry could have 4, but Henry can only get 1 criminal from Barb and Dennis. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, but yeah, because Janet and Mark can both be criminals. Okay, well, we know column D. Oh, maybe this is the thing to look at. Column D is the only column, or column A is the only column with exactly 2 innocents. Column D cannot have exactly 2 innocents. We have 1 from Janet and Tom. If Dennis or Zed is a criminal, okay, so Barb, Dennis, and Zed, have to have 2 innocents and 1 criminal. The important thing is 1 criminal between those 3. If Zed or Dennis is a criminal, the other will be innocent. Tom and Janet are one of each. That would be 2 innocents in column D. And we can't have exactly 2 innocents in column D. Dennis and Zed cannot be criminals. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to go through that logic again really quick. 8 innocents on the edges. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 2 over here, so that's 5, 6. So Barb, Dennis, and Zed have to have 2 innocents among them and 1 criminal. 1 criminal among Barb, Dennis, and Zed. If Dennis or Zed is a criminal, the other one is innocent. If they're one of each, and Tom and Janet are one of each, we will have 2 innocents in column D. That can't happen. Zed and Dennis cannot be criminals. Which means Barb is the criminal. Nice. Okay. Clever. You outsmarted me. I sure did, Barb. All right. Vince has more innocent neighbors than Nancy. Vince has more innocent neighbors. Well, he's already got 2. Could have 3 than Nancy. Well, Nancy, I mean, we know how many. Nancy has 2. Because there's 1 among Mark and Sophia, 1 among Tom and Janet. Nancy has 2. Vince has to have 3. That makes Pam innocent. Nice. Okay. And we know there's 2 innocents in this column. We've already got 1, so there's only 1 more innocent in this column. Column A. Okay, only 1 row has exactly 4 innocents. Well, it can't be A, B, or C. Or 1, 2, or 3. Sorry, 1, 2, or 3. The rows, because they already have 1 criminal. Either Sophia and Tom are both innocent, or Vince is innocent. Okay, so let's go back to what do I go back to? The 4 criminal neighbors thing. I think I want to go back to that because we've found some more stuff. So who can have 4 criminal neighbors? I'm just going to go through all of them. Anna cannot. Barb cannot. Chuck cannot. Dennis cannot. Emily cannot. Freya can. Let's mark them, I don't know, red. Henry has 2, can. Henry can. Janet cannot. Katie cannot. Laura. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Laura can. Mark. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mark can. I can't mark Mark red. I can't mark Mark. Nancy is 1, 2, 3. No. Pam, no. Ronald, 1, 2. No. Sophia, no. Tom, no. Vince, no. Will, no. Zavi, no. Zed, no. Okay, so these 4 in the middle here are the only ones that can have 4 criminal neighbors. For it to be Henry, Janet and Mark would both have to be criminals, which would make Sophia and Tom both innocents. That would be our innocent row. If Henry is the one with 4 criminals, 4 is the row with 4 innocents. If Freya, we'd have to have 2 criminals over here and 1 innocent, which would make Vince a criminal. Right. So if Freya is the one with 4, 1 of these has to be innocent and 2 are criminals, right? Okay, I think this is the thing to think about. Okay, Freya. Let's say Freya is the one with 4 criminal neighbors. Freya already has 2. And there can only be 1 innocent over here. At most. So the 1 innocent in this column would have to be next to Freya with 2 criminals, making Vince a criminal, meaning row 4 is the one with 4 innocents again. But if Sophia is innocent, Mark is a criminal, and now Freya has 5 criminals. Freya cannot have 4 criminals. Either all 3 of these are criminals, giving Freya 5 already, or only 2 of them are criminals, and because of all the other logic, makes Mark a criminal, giving Freya 5. Freya cannot have 5 criminals, or 4 criminals. Cannot have exactly 4. Freya, in fact, has at least 5, I think. Now, can Laura have... I think Laura might be the same problem. Laura already has 1 with Henry. We'll have 1 from Mark or Sophia. So for Laura to have 4, Emily and Katie are both criminals, making Anna innocent, Vince a criminal again, which means Sophia and Tom are both innocents. And then Mark is a criminal? I think that works. So Laura still works. What about Mark? For Mark to be a criminal, he's got 2. Janet and Tom are 1 of each, so that's 3. Sophia would have to be a criminal. For Mark to be a criminal, this bottom row is the innocents. No, for Mark to be the one with 4 criminal neighbors. For Mark to be the red one, as we're going to call him for right now. One of these is a criminal. Well, Sophia's a criminal. So Sophia being a criminal means there's not 4 innocents in row 4. Row 5 is the one with 4 innocents. Katie, Emily, and Anna are all criminals then. Which I think is okay. Is it though? Is it though? Because, okay, Sophia's a criminal, therefore Mark's innocent, right? We're saying Mark is the red one, the one with 4 criminals. Mark is the one with 4 criminals. Sophia is innocent. Sophia's criminal, Mark is innocent. Right? But Katie and Emily both end up being criminals because Vince isn't innocent. Emily, Katie, Sophia, and Henry gives Laura 4 criminal neighbors. If Mark has 4 criminal neighbors, Laura also has 4 criminal neighbors. Only one person has exactly 4, therefore Mark cannot be the red one. So it's Henry or Laura. Okay, let's try Henry. Let's see if this creates a problem. Henry already has 2. For Henry to be the one with 4, Janet and Mark are criminals. Okay? Janet and Mark are criminals. Sophia and Tom are innocents. Therefore, Vince has to be a criminal because we can only have 1 row with 4 innocents. So if Henry is the red, Vince is a criminal. Sophia and Tom are innocents. Laura has 2. Vince is innocent. No, Vince is a criminal. The innocent would have to be Emily or Katie then. Because otherwise Laura would end up with... In fact, Laura has 4 criminal neighbors unless Emily or Katie is an innocent. The only way Laura doesn't have 4 is if Emily or Katie is innocent. Emily or Katie. So, if Anna or Vince is innocent, Laura is the one with 4. But we know, so if Henry is the red, Vince is a criminal. But I'm not quite seeing it. I'm close. And that's all we've got. Column A is the only column with exactly 2 innocents. We knew that. Will is one of 8 innocents on the edges. I feel like if we already kind of used that, okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Janet and Tom is going to be the 7th. There's 1 criminal over here among these 4. We know that. I'm going to get rid of that. No, there's 1 innocent over here among these 4. 1 innocent and 3 criminals. If Emily or Katie is the innocent, Henry has to be the red one. If Emily or Katie is innocent, Henry is the red one because Laura will have 3 innocents or 3 criminals at that point. Henry would have 4. Mark would be guilty. Sophia and Tom are both innocent. Emily and Katie are both innocent. Vince, wait, they can't both be innocent. If Emily or Katie is innocent, Vince is a criminal. Yeah, but that's true anyways, because that's the last innocent in the column. I'm so close. I'm right there. I'm not quite seeing it. Okay. I think what I'm going to have to do is, I didn't really want to bifurcate. I mean, I'm kind of bifurcating in my head, I guess, but I didn't want to, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. I just, I like to try and work it out in my head if I can, but it's not coming together. So I'm going to have to, do it this way. So let's say Henry is the red one, right? So let's go, yellow is criminal. Okay. These two are both criminals. Sophia and Tom are both innocents. We have 4 innocents. Vince is a criminal. Because Henry has 4 criminals, Laura can't have 4 criminal neighbors. So 2 here. One of these has to be criminal and innocent. Well, one of them has to be innocent. We can only have 1 innocent, which makes Anna a criminal. I'm wondering if Anna is always a criminal. Is that what we need to see? Maybe Anna is always a criminal. I was kind of focusing on Vince and Mark and yeah. So we get that, okay? So Anna, Vince, Mark, and Janet are criminals. These 2 are innocent. These are one of each. If Henry is the red. All right, let's try. Laura is the red. So we know these are one of each. So Katie and Emily are both criminals. This is one of each. But, well, we can't have both of these innocents because Henry would have 4 criminals, and Henry can't have 4 criminals. So one of these is a criminal. So Vince has to be the innocent. Anna is always a criminal. That's what we needed to see. That's what we needed to see. Okay. So Anna is always a criminal. There we go. All right. There are as many criminal farmers as there are criminal painters. Okay, farmers and painters. Farmers are Emily, Janet, and Laura. Criminal farmers. Well, we don't know much about the farmers yet. Painters, there's Freya and Will and Vince. Okay, well, Freya and Will are both innocent. So painters, Vince is the only potential criminal painter. If Vince is innocent, right? There are no criminal painters. No criminal painters. So there could be no criminal farmers. Emily and Janet would both have to be innocent. But if Vince is innocent, Janet's innocent, Tom's a criminal, that's okay. I think. If Vince is a criminal, Tom is innocent because we have to have a row with 4 innocents. If Vince is a criminal, Tom would be innocent, Janet would be a criminal. That would make Emily innocent. Okay, if Vince is a criminal, Janet is a criminal. Correct. So, and Vince is the only painter that can be a criminal. And so, Vince, if Vince is innocent, then all the painters are innocent and all the farmers are innocent. If Vince is a criminal, Janet is a criminal. So Vince and Janet are the same, and they're the only ones that can be criminals. Emily is innocent. Okay. Which is the last innocent for this column? Right? Column A is the only column with exactly 2 innocents. Katie is a criminal. Vince is a criminal. Vince being a criminal makes Sophia and Tom both innocent, which makes Mark and Janet criminals. There we go. Very nice. Okay. Less than 24 minutes with no mistakes. All right. Let's see. You outsmart. Good job. I give up. You're too clever for us. Nice one. Thanks for clearing me. You got me busted. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Well, oh man, I was so close to seeing the Anna thing there earlier on, and I just was looking at Vince and Katie and Mark. I should have seen Anna. I had it basically figured out. There was the 2 options, Laura and Henry, and oh man, that took me longer than it should have to get that step, but otherwise, I feel like I did all right on that. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what you think. Was that, a good solve? Did I make a mess of it? I mean, I didn't make any mistakes, so I don't think I made a mess of it. Maybe it took me too long to see some things, but And if you tried the puzzle out yourself, let me know how it went for you. And of course, as always, let me know if your name was in the grid today and whether you were a criminal or innocent. And of course, thank you to Sam, the creator of the game, which I believe is sort of a stage name of sorts, a puzzle name, I guess, their creator name. But thank you to Sam for the special puzzle. That was fun. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more.